Hello and welcome to Crafted Carvings. My name is Jennifer, and today I'm going to tell you about my Minimax L55. So this is, I think, the latest addition to my workshop, and it takes up a lot of room. As you can see, the bed here is 8 feet, so overall, with the one end and the other end, I have to allow closer to about 10 to 11 feet of space. And I used to have 3 other tools in this spot. And so I really had to move things around in order to fit this in. I had to give up some shelf space to move my tools underneath my shelves. I can show you real quick. So these are the tools that I had over there before. So right there, those 3 tools used to be on that back wall, and now they're kind of cramped there. And I had to remove those 3 shelves. Bring you back over here. All right, so the reason why I was willing to give up all that real estate for this sander is because I make signs, and sanding can be very tedious, especially the larger the sign. You can use a belt sander, but belt sanders are heavy by themselves. My preferred hand sander is an orbital sander because I feel like I have a lot of control over it. It's not too heavy, and it's great for giving special attention to certain areas that might need to have a bit more sanding. But it takes a really long time if you've got a really big sign. So that's what this fills in that gap there. So I don't have to do the belt sander, which is very heavy and hard for me to handle for a long time. This, on the other hand, I put my piece of wood down here. It's got a stop here, so it keeps it from being thrown off the edge. And right now I've got it's 100 grit on here, and it really I'm using this more as a rough. So even 100 is considered more fine. It's kind of like in the middle. So it takes off enough material that it saves me a lot of time, but it's not my fine finish sanding. But the great thing about this is that this thing moves. So I can have a whole, something that's the size of a door. I could have 3 feet by 8 feet on here, and I can sand this all. It's got this, I think it's called a patten, and you push that down, and so you've got a nice flat area, at least in that place where you're doing it. So it keeps you from digging in too much in one area versus another. So you do have to be careful about making sure you maintain that same consistency. So in regards to comparing this to a drum sander, this is not going to be as consistent in your thickness. A drum sander, it's going to be exactly whatever you have it set to. It's going to sand off that much. But it's got an advantage over the belt sander in that you can have a much larger work piece on here that you are sanding. The other benefit to it over a belt sander is that this top part here, it can be an edge sander as well. So I can take my workpiece and I can edge I can sand the edge on the top here. The motor on this particular one can go clockwise or counterclockwise. So here's where I have my dust collection, so that this is where we want the dust to be going towards. So when I am sanding here on the bottom, I have it going clockwise. So then it brings the dust in here and gets sucked up. Excuse me. I kicked up some dust. And then when I'm going to do the edge sanding, I'll turn it the other direction, and then it'll suck the dust in and it'll go up in that direction there. Changing out the belts is not too terribly difficult. You just open up these side pieces. There is a tensioner on the other end there. So release the tension. The one sandpaper belt comes out, and then you can put the new one on. And I do have a finish sander on there, but so far I haven't really needed it. Between this and then doing an orbital sander for my finishing, I pretty much got my sanding taken care of. The other great thing about this particular model is that the table will go up and down. So even though this behemoth takes up a lot of room, so long as I can remain disciplined and not put a bunch of crud on my horizontal work surface here, this is great for putting things together. So if I've got a big piece that needs to be clamped, then I can put it on here. I can raise and lower this. So if I need to use this for putting a finish on a sign, you know, I can lower it and I can reach the far end without exposing whatever it is I'm working on to the elements, because my only other place that I have for painting things and drying things is outside. And if it gets really windy or the birds are out, whatever, you know, things can happen to my piece outside. So new, this thing cost somewhere between $7,000 and $10,000 from what I could find. This is very old, this particular one, so I don't really have an equivalent to compare it to right now. This model is no longer being made. But if you can find one of these, this is called a stroke sander or a panel sander. And I would highly recommend it, because it's if you got the space, it does a lot. And then it's also a workbench. Of course, you got to move everything off of it when you're using it as a sander. But I built my way up to this. So I started off with a grizzly edge sander, and I also had a it was a sander that it sanded like the flat surface. I'm trying to think what the name it was. I don't recall, but I didn't use it very much because it was difficult to kind of see what you were doing, because you sanded on the underside, and then you'd have to lift it up, take a look at it, and then, you know, sand whatever more you needed to sand. So anyhow, I sold those two things and was able to buy this for what I got for the other two smaller sanders. So for me, it worked out really well. I had to go down to Los Angeles and borrow a neighbor's trailer to get it. But it was an adventure. And then luckily I had some strong people to help me get it off the trailer on the other end, because this thing is a beast. But if you have the opportunity to get one of these, I would say definitely get it. But be on the lookout, though. Some of these are 3-phase. This particular one is not a single phase and is 220 volt, so I have the electricity to do that. But a lot of these older ones, especially that you may find, are 3-phase, and that's difficult to get into your house if you don't already have 3-phase. Also, if you get you can get like a 3-phase inverter or converter or something like that, and those things are really expensive. So then, even if you got a good deal on the machine itself, it may not be such a good deal after you get the power to it and everything. So anyhow, I just wanted to share with you another tool that I have, a little bit more unusual. So I did, my oldest tool that I've ever had in the shop, and now this is my newest tool that I've got in the shop. So anyhow, God bless, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.